Good day, folks. Josh Lego here from 14 Wing Greenwood, 14 Wing Reconditioning Specialist here to give you a presentation on practical reconditioning, part of our Wisdom with Wednesdays. So last couple of weeks we've talked about the hip, the knee, we've talked about the shoulder girdle. I want to talk about the ankle today as well as a little bit about the foot. I say it's probably one of the highly underutilized or trained joints in the body. It's not like someone training their upper body when they want to train and build their biceps. Not a lot of people will say they sit there and do calf raises, hence the word when people say skipping leg day. So we want to sit there and assess the ankle joint. And I want to make you think about why would you want to look at someone's ability or their range of motion or ankle, and what practical implications could that have if it's impaired? If you looked at a squat, you would definitely assess someone's range of motion pretty quick. You can also assess how people start to accommodate their kinematics or their movement plan in order to do that. So what I mean is, last week we talked about doing a wide squat. So hands come out and we squat down and we shift our bum back, our knees trapped to the middle of our feet. Well, we never did assess the ankle joint, but that is a prime limitation or inhibitor of one's ability to squat down. If you didn't have that, you would have to do, you'd stop at the end, of course, or you could do accommodated motion to shift that center of gravity so you wouldn't get so much torque that would hurt someone by usually sticking their chest out when they squat, so they stick it out, arching their back, which then allows them to sink down. It's just a way that they compensate for that range of motion. The question is, can we do anything to help improve that? Well, the easiest thing would be to actually work on the squat technique. Just like we talked about last week, the activation drills. Well, here, I made myself a TRX. I went to the dollar store, bought some dollar twine. I basically made a loop around my door handle on the outside to shut the door. Now I have a TRX, okay? Or an ability to basically hold myself up. So what I'm doing is I'm going on that wide squat, squatting down, and just doing my activation drills. So guess what? I'm now working on that range of motion in my ankle, okay? As well as warming up my legs for squatting. So you can do 10 of those. You can do 10 hip width squats, okay? Or you could do 10 close. Point being, that range of motion and that dorsiflexion is a limiting factor for most people. So how do we assess it? Simple way is you make a thumb like this, thumbs up, you put it against the wall, you slide your foot up, okay? Put your hands up square and you try and lean your knee to the wall without picking up your heel. So I'm about a ½ inch from this one. Let's try the other foot. Okay, so my left, leaning forward, and I'm a little bit tighter here. Well, I don't think it's limitations of my ankle joint. I do believe it's from all the running I've been doing. I started doing that Learn to Run program. I gotta preach what I teach. So I started doing the same program a few weeks ago, and I do feel the musculature in my legs are a little bit tighter, and I'm actually kind of sore in my calves today. So I speculate that the musculature is a limiting factor for my range of motion. So what I can do is mobilize that by sitting in a chair here, okay? It was my left that was tight, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do some ankle circles, okay? So just spinning it around, getting that range of motion. Okay, and then we do the opposite direction, try and spin it around. So we're just going through full range here, folks. You're just trying to get your ankle to do what it's supposed to without it being really choppy. Okay, we have one here for dorsiflexion. Here's one. I'm basically doing, I call it the bass drum. If you ever play the drums, you basically do this. It's actually a really good exercise for helping with shin splints or preventing them. It builds up your tibialis anterior muscle, the muscle that's here. Okay, the other one, basic calf raise. You can sit more in a chair, come down and up, or get more range, okay? Or obviously you can do it standing, okay? The other one's rolling it out or end, so you're basically getting your E version, your N version, okay? Other option, we can put a band on here and help with that, so a little bit of joint distraction. And again, start rotating my ankle out, okay? So that's an external rotation. Okay, E version, okay, rolling my ankle out. I do it over here, okay, N version, then I can do inversion here, and internal rotation. The other one, I can put my foot up, and I can do plantar flexion. It's actually going to come up a little bit more on my foot. So here, there. Okay. Now, I've had someone or have something I could wrap around. I could put it on my foot and do the dorsiflexion, but honestly, the one like this works really well. I bet you now, even if I went against the wall, I'd probably have more range of motion. So let's check again. So thumb down, up here. Okay. Lean in. Oh yeah. So I'm already loosened up substantially, and it's been, what, 3-4 movements there in about a 2-minute span. The other option is do soft or foam rolling, so myofascial release. So I'm briefly going to go through this and show you rather than putting a video at the end. So you got your shins you roll through, okay? You got your peroneals on the outside here. So on the side, I roll down, okay, roll through. Got the other side, okay? Same thing. And of course, we got our calves. Now, if we're looking at ranges of motion, I have some injury prevention stuff, but I'm going to show you these things at the moment because they probably play a part in that. Now, I have another exercise here where I use my toes to scrunch this towel up. We're not really training our ankle, but we're training that supporting structure that's underneath your foot called your plantar fascia. Now, that structure does have some strength components to it, but it really stabilizes the arch of your foot. And if it gets tired or fatigued, well, you can start to get foot pain. And really, if your ankle joint isn't supporting the ankle, then all those forces when you run has to go into something. And you can see how people can get that kind of injury. Now, all I'm doing here is scrunching this towel up, or the best of my ability, it's a big towel, to get that contraction of my foot. I do this 5 times, okay, and I start to feel my foot get fatigued, which is good. It's kind of one of those endurance muscles. If it gets really fatigued, it may start to cramp. Now, I want you to put that into perspective. If your ankle joints aren't doing what they're supposed to, or the muscles that are supporting it, and you start to put those forces down into your foot, and you're running, and you want to keep running, well, what's going to take that load is that plantar fascia, and if there's nothing else to dissipate that force, then you can see how you can start to get an injury there, especially if you can constantly, chronically work it. So you rip the scar, pull the scar. So the other exercise is basically taking a can and rolling that on your foot. So very much injury prevention, or I like to call it prehab. So let's prevent these things before they happen. I got my can of Zoodles here, and I'm just rolling the bottom of my foot. Feels substantially better. And I bet you, if that's really tight, and I do have a bit of that issue, that my range of motion over here, when I assess again, test, recess, okay, is now much better. I'm only about 1.5 inches compared to the 3 inches that I was before. Okay? So that gives you some mobility items to consider. Now let's look at the stability of that joint. So how do we assess that? Well, we would look at standing on one leg, so a stork test. Okay, so we start with our foot on the ground, like your toes and your heel, pick your leg up, try and stand. Pretty straightforward. Okay, count for 30 seconds, see how long you do it. Do it left and right. If that's easy, then you take this chair, put it beside you, and try and go up on your toes. Okay? This is just there so you don't roll your ankle. I can go up my feet. I can do this. Okay? If that's easy, then do it with your eyes closed, either side. Fun for the family, fun for the kids, but it gives you something to assess. Realistically, I'm going to jump up to stage 2 here, but think about this. If you have bad balance, well, practice it by standing and doing dishes on your single leg, and you'll build those up. Or if you're at work, just practice standing on a single leg. Some of my clients go back and they tell their bosses, this is what Josh has made me do. Well, it makes the world of difference, folks. After a little bit of, it's like riding a bike. You'll learn to get your balance pretty fast. Now, if you luck into having a wobble board, these work really good because it takes the components that we talked about last week and adds them in as well. So we're getting the activation of our hips or our knees. Now we're getting it in our ankles, okay? The supporting factors there. And we can throw that squat in and try and get that dorsiflexion. So we're working everything, okay? You can do your front, you can do your back. get that pivot point. You're here, squat down. Okay. That range of motion, come back up. So other options, stand single leg on here, get your inversion, eversion. Again, you're going to get that stability. It's like a suspension bridge. All those forces have to go into something and regulate. Now, we don't think about this, okay? When it happens in the real world, we basically do it. So you want to train yourself that it becomes a habit. If you don't have this, one of the best exercises I can give you is using an agility ladder. I'm not going to show you the full routine here. I can list them at the end, or I can do another video and show you. But just doing agility ladder based movements when you're on your toes will help benefit getting that balance and that stability. If you think about it, I'm up on my toes here. I'm learning to get out of my two-dimensional movement pattern, which is my regular walking, which will allow me to keep balance and stability. For a lot of clients, I throw that in for basically a warm-up or a cool-down. The reason it prevents injury, especially if you throw some added weight on people like a rucksack. They have the skills without actually really training for it because we've already added it in. If you don't have those, folks, or if you're not interested, simple drill, walk around on your toes. Okay? Not too challenging. Other one, walk on your heels. Okay? It gets us that range, and it gets that stability. Make sense? So I have one more for you. And that's a soleus stretch. So not a lot of us do this. Okay? And a soleus stretch, we're going to put a foot up on the chair here. Okay? We want to lean forward and let our knee go past our joint. This is going to get a big stretch in here. The reason this works better than going against the wall and keeping your legs straight out, this is a gastroc. This here, I have to bend my knee a little bit, is my soleus, because your soleus only goes across one joint and up. Your gastroc goes across two joints. So that gastroc automatically is tighter, which limits your ability to stretch that soleus. So if the soleus is a limiting factor, you got to find a way to loosen off your gastroc. And this will do that for you. Okay? There's another way to do it. Okay? You can use a dowel here on the ground. Come forward, put it in the ankle, lean forward, and push through. Okay? I feel that there. I personally prefer this because it's faster, but it works the same. Anyways, folks, I hope you learned something today. And unfortunately, the second take that I went through and did this, but I hope I hit everything that I was looking for. So we talked about our mobility. We did a test against the wall there, your ankle test. We also did the squat test. We showed how you could use both for activation. Your stability, we talked about a stork test, okay? Using a wobble board, using an agility ladder to work those balances on your ankle. We also went through the mobility of your ankle by doing generic sitting in the chair, doing circles and whatnot. And we talked about injury prevention. It really was more on that foot care, trying to prevent that plantar fasciitis from forming, but also just gives you another alternative to stretch out. Other than that, folks, I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, send myself, Eric, or the other fitness crew a message, and we will sort it out for you. Have a great one. Keep fit, fit to fight.